Hey everyone, thanks for tuning into Livecop episode 8. Before we get started, drop some comments below on any video topics or tutorials you want me to cover next. As for this week's video, we're going to be covering the Yzy 700 Bright Blues, the Yzy Slides re-release, and the highly anticipated AJ4 University Blues. Before we get into things, please drop a like and sub if any of my videos have helped you out in the past. Shoot me a follow on any of my socials and stay up to date with my latest cops. All of my socials are at Bodertona. Same for Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Let's get started. Alright, starting off we have the Yzy 700 Bright Blue drop. As you can see right away, I'm scrolling through all of my servers. I ran about a few copies of Mech AIO and a few copies of Dashi, and pretty much all of them were linked through AYCD except for Mech, which was Advanced Cap Harvesters, since it just works better for me with that. Now, if you know how Yzy Slide ran this past release, they did implement a new 3DS system for charges, and a lot of people got ghosts. So unfortunately for me, for this drop, the majority of my checkouts were ghosts, but I still had a few end up shipping. Moving on, we have the Yzy Slide re-release of the Pure, Core, and Resin colorways. Now, this was a difficult decision for me because I got a lot of ghosts on the 700 Bright Blues, as I just described. I actually ended up running someone else's profiles for this release. They had a majority of cards that did work, so I didn't want to take the risk using my cards and getting ghost checkouts and pretty much running 5 or 6 bots and getting nothing. So I decided to run ACOs for a guy I know, and I ended up with about 11 checkouts. A couple were ghosts, but I believe 9 ended up sticking, so all in all it actually worked out pretty well. And moving forward, I'm gonna have to change my setup to maybe more privacy cards or find another way to go about that. Alright, last but not least, we have one of the most hyped drops of April. This is the AJ4 University Blue release. I mainly ran Nebula and Prism, and as you can see, Prism carded for me and was checking out fairly easily for me. I did get a lot of card declines towards the end of the release, but Prism actually held it down for me, and so did Nebula. I decided to run Kodai on a server, but ended up turning it off halfway through the release because it was not working for me. And I wanted to focus on Nebula and Prism. Nebula had some logging issues with my webhook, or maybe on their end, but I believe I got like 5 or 6 from both Prism and Nebula, but Nebula only logged me like 1 with a bunch of declines that actually ended up going through. All my pairs ended up sticking for this release, so I was super happy about that, and I ended up manualing one on Finish Line as well, which is always a good sign. As for my bot setup for this release, I mainly ran ISPs across Kodai, Nebula, and Prism. I did end up turning off Kodai and Nebula through the release due to them lagging a little bit, and I saved some power for my local machine by just sticking with Prism through the release. Nebula and Prism actually held it down for me. They both got me around 5 or 6 checkouts each, so I ended up with about 11 total, with also getting one manually on Finish Line. As you could tell, I got 31 checkouts with the Bright Blues. Now, most of those were ghosts, but still happy I got the checkouts. I'm just going to have to use different cards for next time around. I reevaluated it for the re-release of the slides, and I ended up with 9 checkouts for that release. And then lastly, the AJ4 University Blue release, I got 11 checkouts between Prism and Nebula. Thank you for watching, and hopefully I can have the next Livecop up in a couple weeks. Please drop a like and sub if you enjoyed this video, and leave any comments for me in the comments below. Thanks.